The knock on my door came just as I was finishing my coffee. It was a quiet Saturday morning, and I wasn't expecting anyone. I wiped my hands on a dish towel and walked over, already feeling annoyed at the interruption. When I opened it, my jaw nearly hit the floor. There she was. Amanda. The woman I hadn't seen or spoken to in 6 years, standing on my porch like nothing had happened. Her golden hair was just as I remembered, but her eyes had lost their spark. She looked desperate. And she wasn't alone. Clutching her hand was a boy who couldn't have been more than 5 or 6. His brown eyes, my brown eyes, stared up at me, full of curiosity and innocence. "I need to talk to you," Amanda said, her voice shaking. "It's important." I couldn't move. My brain was stuck in a loop, trying to process what I was seeing. Amanda. A kid. Her showing up after disappearing without a trace. My silence must have unnerved her because she stepped forward, practically shoving the boy into my living room. "Can I come in?" she asked, but it wasn't really a question. She pushed past me, dragging the boy along, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. She looked around like she was trying to assess if I'd moved on, if there was another woman in my life now. "Excuse me?" I finally snapped, finding my voice. "What the hell is this, Amanda? Who is he?" Her lips trembled as she crouched down next to the boy and smoothed his hair. This is Liam," she said softly. Then she straightened up, her tone hardening as if she'd rehearsed this moment. "He's your son, Jack." The air left my lungs like a punch to the gut. I stumbled back a step, staring at her like she'd lost her mind. "What are you talking about? What kind of game is this?" "It's not a game," she snapped, crossing her arms. "He's yours. I didn't know how to tell you, so I didn't. But now. You disappeared." I interrupted, my voice rising. "You left me. No note, no explanation, nothing. And now you show up out of nowhere, expecting me to believe this?" Amanda's eyes glistened, but she didn't cry. No, that wasn't her style. She always had a way of flipping the script, making herself the victim in every situation. "I had my reasons, Jack. Reasons you wouldn't understand. But I'm here now because Liam deserves to know his father." I looked at the boy again, still standing silently, clutching a toy car in his tiny hand. My heart twisted in ways I couldn't explain. Could she be telling the truth? Was this really my child? Amanda broke the silence, her voice sharp. "I brought the paperwork. If you don't believe me, we can do a DNA test." Her words hit me like a brick. A test. She'd come prepared, already anticipating my doubts. My head was spinning. How could she do this? 6 years of silence, of betrayal, and now she was standing in my living room, trying to rewrite the rules. But as angry as I was, I couldn't take my eyes off Liam. There was something about him, something painfully familiar. I wanted answers, but more than that, I wanted the truth. "Fine," I said through clenched teeth. "Let's do the test. But if you're lying, Amanda, if this is some kind of sick game, you're not going to like the consequences." She smirked, a glimmer of that same manipulative woman I'd fallen for years ago. "You'll see, Jack. You'll see I'm not lying." Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a storm I never saw coming. Amanda settled into my living room as though she owned the place, her heels kicked off and her arms draped casually over the back of my couch. Meanwhile, Liam sat cross-legged on the rug, quietly playing with his toy car. The contrast between them was jarring, innocence and chaos sitting side by side. I stood there, arms crossed, trying to wrap my head around what was happening. "So, Jack," Amanda began, her voice dripping with condescension, "are we going to sit here in awkward silence, or do you have something to say?" "Yeah, I do," I said, barely containing the rage boiling under my skin. Where the hell have you been for 6 years, Amanda? You vanished without a word, and now you just waltz back in like nothing happened? Her eyes narrowed, and for a moment, I saw the woman I used to love, the one who could cut me down with a single look. I had my reasons, she said, leaning forward. And frankly, I don't owe you an explanation. I laughed bitterly. You don't owe me an explanation. You're standing in my house with a kid you claim is mine, and you think you can just keep your voice down, she hissed, glancing at Liam. I'm not doing this in front of him. Oh, now you care about him hearing things? I shot back. Where was that concern when you were lying to me, Amanda? When you were sneaking around? Her face twisted into a smirk, that same smug expression that used to drive me insane. You always think you know everything, don't you? Always so quick to judge. Maybe if you weren't so controlling, I wouldn't have felt the need to leave. Don't you dare pin this on me, I snapped. You cheated on me. I found the texts, Amanda. Mike? Does that name ring a bell? She flinched, but her composure didn't crack. Mike was a mistake. A moment of weakness. A moment? I barked. You carried on with him for weeks. Don't act like it was some one-time slip-up. Amanda rolled her eyes, crossing her legs as if this was nothing more than a petty argument. You're so dramatic, Jack. I left because I needed space. Because you suffocated me with your paranoia. I stared at her, utterly dumbfounded. Paranoia? I caught you red-handed, Amanda. And instead of owning up to it, you ghosted me. You didn't even have the decency to face me like an adult. Because you're impossible to talk to, she snapped, her voice rising. You would have blown up, just like you're doing now. I shook my head, laughing bitterly. Unbelievable. You're still playing the victim. Still twisting everything to make yourself look innocent. Her face softened, but it wasn't an apology, it was manipulation. I didn't come here to rehash the past, Jack. I came here for Liam. He needs you in his life, whether you like it or not. My eyes darted to the boy, who was now pushing his car across the floor, blissfully unaware of the tension in the room. He looked so small, so vulnerable. My anger started to waver, replaced by a crushing weight of responsibility. What if he really was my son? Could I just turn him away because of Amanda's lies? You're lucky I care more about him than I do about you, I said through clenched teeth. We'll do the DNA test. And if he's mine, I'll be there for him. But don't think for a second that this means I forgive you. Amanda smirked again, that infuriating confidence returning. I don't need your forgiveness, Jack. I've moved on. Moved on? I scoffed. Then why are you here? Why now? Her smirk faltered, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. It's complicated. Try me. She hesitated, glancing at Liam before lowering her voice. Mike wasn't what I thought he was, okay? Things didn't work out. And then I found out I was pregnant. I didn't know what to do, Jack. I panicked. You panicked? I said, my voice dripping with disbelief. So your solution was to disappear for 6 years and then drop this bomb on me when it's convenient for you? I didn't want to burden you, she said, feigning sincerity. You deserved better. I laughed bitterly. You mean I deserved to be lied to? Amanda sighed, rubbing her temples like she was the one who was exhausted by this conversation. Look, I'm not here to fight. I'm here for Liam. He's the only thing that matters now. As much as I hated to admit it, she had a point. Whatever mess Amanda and I had created, Liam was innocent. He didn't deserve to be caught in the crossfire of our mistakes. Fine, I said, my voice firm. We'll get the test done. But after that, Amanda, you're out of my life for good. If he's mine, I'll take care of him. But you and I? We're done." Her eyes gleamed with something that looked like triumph. "Deal." For the rest of the day, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd just walked into a trap. The days leading up to the DNA test felt like a slow-motion car crash. Amanda and Liam stayed in town, much to my dismay, holed up in some motel on the outskirts. She claimed it was temporary, but I knew her better than that. Amanda never did anything without an ulterior motive. The test itself was quick, a sterile room, a swab inside my cheek, and the promise of results within a week. I kept my cool, not letting Amanda see the storm brewing inside me. But the waiting? That was hell. Each day, I replayed the last 6 years in my mind, trying to spot the cracks I had missed. The first night after the test, I couldn't sleep. I sat at my kitchen table, nursing a glass of whiskey, my thoughts spinning. How had I been so blind? Amanda had always been good at wearing masks, hiding her true self behind charm and a smile. But now, with everything laid bare, I couldn't stop seeing the lies for what they were. By the third night, curiosity got the better of me. I started digging into her social media. Amanda was the type to flaunt her life online, vacations, parties, friends. But to my surprise, her profiles were almost bare. The last public post was from 4 years ago, a photo of her and Liam at a park. The caption read, "Just the two of us against the world." No mentions of Mike. No trace of anyone else, really. Just her and the kid. It didn't add up. Amanda wasn't the kind of woman to live quietly. She thrived on attention. So where had she been hiding? The answer came faster than I expected. The next day, I was leaving work when my phone buzzed with a text. It was from Amanda. "Amanda, need to talk. Urgent. Can I come over?" I sighed, already regretting my decision to let her back into my life, even temporarily. But I agreed. Better to get whatever drama she had brewing out of the way sooner rather than later. When she showed up that evening, she wasn't alone. A man followed her up the driveway, his bulky frame casting a long shadow in the fading light. He looked familiar, but I couldn't place him at first. "This is Mike," Amanda said casually, as though introducing a friend at a barbecue. I froze. Mike. The guy from the texts. The guy who'd apparently been a mistake and a moment of weakness. He was standing on my porch, looking at me like I was the intruder in my own life. "What the hell is he doing here?" I demanded, stepping outside and slamming the door behind me so Liam wouldn't overhear. "Relax," Amanda said, her tone dripping with mockery. "He just wanted to clear the air." Mike stepped forward, his face hard and unapologetic. "Look, man, I know I screwed up back then. But I'm here for Liam now." I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "You've got to be kidding me. First Amanda shows up out of nowhere, and now you? What is this, a reunion tour?" Mike's jaw tightened. "I don't want any trouble. I just want to make sure Liam's taken care of." "Taken care of?" I snapped, my blood boiling. "You had your chance, buddy. You knew she was married, and you didn't give a damn." Amanda rolled her eyes. "Oh, for God's sake, Jack. Can we not do this macho posturing thing right now? Mike's here because I asked him to be. And why would you do that?" I asked, my voice icy. She hesitated, biting her lip in a way that I once found endearing but now recognized as manipulative. "Because there's a chance Liam might not be yours." The world tilted on its axis. I stared at her, the words barely registering. "What?" She shrugged, as though she'd just admitted to forgetting milk at the store. "I didn't want to tell you before the test because I knew you'd freak out. But yeah, there's a chance Mike's the father." Mike looked uncomfortable but didn't deny it. He kept his eyes on me, like he was bracing for a fight. "You're unbelievable," I said, my voice trembling with rage. "You let me think he was my son, Amanda. You let me bond with him, even for a moment, knowing this might all be a lie." Her expression hardened. "Don't act so self-righteous, Jack. You were never exactly father of the year material. Maybe Liam's better off with someone like Mike." The words hit like a punch to the gut. "You've got some nerve," I said through clenched teeth. "After everything you've done, you still think you get to call the shots?" "I'm not calling the shots," she said, crossing her arms. "I'm just telling you the truth. You wanted honesty? Here it is. Deal with it." Mike cleared his throat, clearly uncomfortable with the escalating tension. "Look, man, I didn't come here to make things worse. I just want to know the truth, same as you." I glared at him, every muscle in my body tense. "The truth? The truth is, you're both cowards. And whatever the DNA test says, I'm not letting either of you mess with that kid's life." Amanda smirked, her eyes glinting with something almost cruel. "We'll see about that." She turned on her heel, motioning for Mike to follow. He hesitated, as though he wanted to say something, but ultimately trailed after her like a dog on a leash. As they drove away, I stood there, fists clenched, trying to steady my breathing. For the first time, I realized this wasn't just about Liam or the DNA test. Amanda had dragged me into her chaos again, and I wasn't sure if I'd come out of it intact. The week felt like an eternity. Every time my phone buzzed, I flinched, half expecting the lab to call with the results. Liam's innocent face haunted me, his small hands gripping that toy car, completely unaware of the storm brewing around him. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. My life was suspended in limbo, waiting for a single piece of paper to tell me if I was a father, or if Amanda's betrayal ran even deeper than I thought. When the results finally came in, I was at work. The email popped up on my phone like a ticking time bomb. I couldn't open it there, not with coworkers bustling around and the risk of losing control in front of them. So I waited. The drive home felt surreal, like I was underwater, everything muffled and distant. The moment I stepped into the house, I dropped my bag, sat at the kitchen table, and opened the email. 99.9% probability of paternity. The words blurred as my eyes filled with tears. Relief, anger, confusion, they all hit me at once, a tidal wave of emotions I couldn't process. Liam was mine. My son. But instead of feeling joy, all I felt was fury. How could Amanda have kept this from me? How could she let another man think he had a claim on my child? Before I could think it through, I grabbed my phone and called her. She answered on the third ring, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Jack. Finally. I was wondering when you'd." "He's mine," I interrupted, my voice cold. "The test came back. Liam is my son." There was a pause, and then she laughed softly. "Well, that settles that, doesn't it? Don't you dare act like this is no big deal," I snapped. "You've lied to me for 6 years, Amanda. You stole time I'll never get back with my own son." "Oh, spare me the dramatics," she said, her tone sharp now. "You're acting like I did this to hurt you. I did what I thought was best for Liam." "Best for Liam?" I echoed, incredulous. "You kept him away from his father. You let another man believe he might be the dad. How is that best for anyone?" She sighed, as if I was the unreasonable one. "Look, Jack, I'm not going to apologize for my choices. I did what I had to do. And honestly, you should be thanking me. If I'd told you back then, you would have turned his life upside down." "Turned his life upside down?" I growled. "You're the one who's been dragging him through chaos, Amanda. I saw Mike. I saw the way you looked at him. Do you even know what kind of person he is? She didn't answer right away, and for the first time, I sensed hesitation. Mike isn't perfect, she admitted. But he's been there for us when no one else was. Us? I barked out a laugh. Don't lump Liam into your mess. I'm going to be there for him now, whether you like it or not. And I swear, Amanda, if you keep playing games. Oh, relax, she cut me off, her tone dripping with condescension. You got your precious DNA test. What more do you want? What I want, I said, barely keeping my anger in check, is for Liam to have a stable, honest life. Something you clearly can't provide. There was a long pause, and then Amanda dropped the bombshell. Fine. You want Liam? Take him. I froze, the phone pressed to my ear. What? You heard me, she said, her voice cool and detached. If you think you can do better, Jack, then go ahead. Take him. I'm tired of fighting. Tired of being the bad guy. Her words hit me like a freight train. This was Amanda, manipulative, controlling Amanda, just giving up. It didn't make sense. What's the catch? I asked, narrowing my eyes. No catch, she said, almost too casually. I need a break. You want to play daddy? Be my guest. I didn't trust her, not for a second. But if it meant getting Liam out of her toxic orbit, I'd take whatever chance I could get. Fine, I said, my voice steady. I'll come get him tomorrow. Tomorrow? She repeated, surprised. Wow. You're really eager, aren't you? You have no idea, I said coldly. The next morning, I showed up at Amanda's motel. Liam was waiting in the lobby, his small suitcase by his side. Amanda barely looked at me as she handed over his things. Don't screw this up, Jack, she said, her voice low enough that Liam couldn't hear. Funny, I replied, hoisting the suitcase over my shoulder. I was about to say the same to you. Liam clung to my hand as we walked to the car, his eyes wide with curiosity. For the first time, I saw the enormity of what I'd taken on. This wasn't just about getting even with Amanda. This was about giving Liam the life he deserved. As we drove home, he looked at me and asked, "Are we going to live together now?" "Yeah, buddy," I said, forcing a smile. "We're going to live together." But as I glanced in the rearview mirror, I saw Amanda's reflection in my mind, a smirk, a glint of something I couldn't quite place. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Bringing Liam home was a surreal experience. I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd just stepped into someone else's life, someone else's story. My house, once quiet and predictable, suddenly felt alive with the sound of his small feet padding across the floor and his innocent questions about everything he saw. "Why don't you have a dog?" he asked as he explored the living room, picking up framed photos and examining them with childlike curiosity. I chuckled, trying to mask the nervousness bubbling inside me. "I've been busy, I guess. But maybe we can get one now. What do you think?" His face lit up, and for the first time, I saw how much joy he carried despite everything he'd been through. "Can we get a big one? Like a wolf?" "Let's start with something a little smaller," I said, smiling. The moment felt light, hopeful even. But deep down, I knew this was only the beginning. Amanda had handed Liam over far too easily, and that nagging voice in the back of my head wouldn't let me trust her sudden surrender. What was her angle? What game was she playing now? That night, after I'd tucked Liam into bed, I sat alone in the kitchen, scrolling through emails and paperwork Amanda had sent over. Most of it was standard custody stuff, but one document caught my eye, a letter from a debt collector addressed to Amanda. The amount owed was staggering. The pieces started falling into place. Amanda hadn't given up Liam out of the goodness of her heart. She was drowning in debt, and Liam was just another responsibility she couldn't afford. Anger flared in my chest, but I forced myself to stay calm. This wasn't about her anymore. It was about Liam. The next morning, I woke up early to make breakfast, wanting to start this new chapter on the right foot. As I flipped pancakes in the kitchen, I heard small footsteps behind me. I turned to find Liam rubbing his eyes, his hair a mess of golden tangles. "Morning, buddy," I said, keeping my tone light. "How do you feel about pancakes? Are they like the ones my mom makes?" he asked, climbing onto a chair at the table. I paused, the spatula in my hand. "Probably better," I said with a grin, though his question stung more than I cared to admit. He laughed, and for a moment, the weight on my chest lifted. I could do this. I had to. After breakfast, we spent the day unpacking his things and getting him settled. Liam was full of questions, asking about every photo, every book, every knick-knack on the shelves. By the time evening rolled around, we were both exhausted but strangely comfortable in each other's company. But just as I was starting to feel like things might be okay, my phone buzzed. It was Amanda. I debated ignoring her, but I knew she'd just keep calling until I picked up. Reluctantly, I answered. "What do you want, Amanda?" "Relax, Jack," she said, her voice annoyingly casual. "I'm just checking in. How's Liam doing?" "He's fine," I said curtly. "Better than he's been in a long time, I'm guessing." She ignored the jab. "Good. I'm glad. But I need to talk to you about something." "Let me guess," I said, my patience already wearing thin. "You need money." There was a pause, just long enough to confirm my suspicions. "I wouldn't call it needing money," she said finally. "But things are tight right now, and since you're the one taking on Liam." "No," I said firmly. "You didn't even let me finish," she snapped. "I don't need to." "The answer is no. I'm not your ATM, Amanda. You've already taken enough from me." "Oh, come on, Jack," she said, her tone shifting to that fake sweetness she always used when she wanted something. "I'm not asking for much. Just a little help until I get back on my feet." I clenched my jaw, my free hand balling into a fist. "You gave up custody of Liam because you're broke, didn't you? That's what this is really about." Her silence was answer enough. "You're unbelievable," I said, my voice rising. "You don't care about Liam. You never did. He's just a burden to you." "That's not fair," she said, her voice cracking slightly. "You don't know what it's been like for me. Raising him on my own, trying to keep us afloat." "Spare me the sob story," I interrupted. "You had a choice, Amanda. You could have come to me years ago, but you didn't. You wanted to play the victim, and now it's caught up to you." "You're such a hypocrite," she shot back. "You think you're some hero now just because you took him in? Let's see how long you last before you're drowning too." I wanted to hang up, to end the conversation and block her number forever. But something in her voice stopped me. Not guilt, no, I didn't owe her that, but a nagging sense of unfinished business. "What's your endgame here, Amanda?" I asked, my voice cold. "Why are you really calling?" She hesitated, and for the first time, I heard fear in her voice. "There are people looking for me, Jack. People I owe money to. I need some time to figure things out." "And what does that have to do with me?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "If they can't find me," she said quietly, "they might come looking for Liam." Her words chilled me to the bone. I gripped the phone tighter, my mind racing. This wasn't just about money anymore. Amanda's mess was far bigger than I'd imagined, and now Liam and I were caught in the crossfire. "You're not dragging him into this," I said, my voice steady despite the panic rising inside me. "If anyone comes near him, I'll make sure they regret it." Amanda laughed bitterly. "Good luck with that, Jack. You have no idea what you're dealing with. The call ended, but the tension lingered, heavy and suffocating. I looked over at Liam, who was happily drawing at the kitchen table, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing outside our little bubble. Amanda's chaos wasn't over, it was just beginning. And for Liam's sake, I had to be ready for whatever came next. The days after Amanda's ominous call were filled with a tension I couldn't shake. Every knock at the door made my heart race. Every unfamiliar car parked on the street felt like a threat. I didn't tell Liam what Amanda had said, I couldn't. How could I explain to a 6-year-old that his mother had dragged us into a mess that might bring dangerous people to our doorstep? Instead, I threw myself into being a father. I taught Liam how to ride his bike in the cul-de-sac, helped him pick out books from the library, and tried to create a sense of normalcy. But Amanda's words echoed in my head, "You have no idea what you're dealing with." One evening, as Liam was brushing his teeth before bed, my phone buzzed again. I groaned when I saw Amanda's name flash across the screen. Against my better judgment, I picked up. "What now, Amanda?" I said, keeping my voice low so Liam wouldn't overhear. "Relax," she said, her voice oddly calm. "I'm just calling to check in." "You don't get to check in anymore," I snapped. "You lost that privilege when you handed over Liam like a piece of luggage." "Jack," she said, her tone shifting to something almost serious. "Listen to me. I'm not just calling for no reason. I got a warning today." "A warning?" I repeated, my stomach tightening. "Yes," she said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "From one of the guys I owe money to. He said if I don't pay up soon, they're going to collect in other ways." "Other ways?" I asked, my fists clenching. "What the hell does that mean?" She hesitated, and for the first time, I heard genuine fear in her voice. "I think it means Liam, Jack. They know about him. They know he's my weakness." The phone nearly slipped from my hand. My pulse roared in my ears. "You're telling me you put our son in danger?" "I didn't mean to," she said quickly, her words tumbling out. "I didn't think they'd go that far. But you don't understand these people, they're ruthless. They'll do whatever it takes to get what they're owed." "Who are they, Amanda?" I demanded. "What did you get yourself into?" She didn't answer right away. I could hear her breathing on the other end of the line, shallow and uneven. Finally, she said, "Loan sharks. I borrowed money from them a few years ago when things were tight. I thought I could pay it back, but things spiraled." I leaned against the kitchen counter, my free hand gripping the edge so hard it hurt. "You borrowed money from loan sharks? Are you insane?" "I didn't have a choice," she shouted. "Do you think I wanted this? Do you think I wanted to end up like this?" "You had a choice," I said coldly. "You could have come to me. But no, you had to handle everything on your own, and now Liam is paying the price." She started to say something, but I cut her off. "Listen to me, Amanda. If anything happens to Liam because of your stupidity, I swear." "It won't," she interrupted, her voice shaking. "I'm trying to fix it, Jack. That's why I'm calling. I need your help." I laughed bitterly. "Of course you do. That's what this has been about all along, hasn't it? Using Liam to get me to bail you out." "That's not true," she protested. "I gave him to you to keep him safe. But now you want me to clean up your mess," I finished for her. "Unbelievable." "Jack," she said, her voice softening. "Please. I'm begging you. If you don't help me, they'll come after both of us." I closed my eyes, pinching the bridge of my nose. I wanted to hang up, to tell her to deal with the consequences of her own actions. But I couldn't. As much as I hated her, as much as I despised the mess she'd made, I couldn't risk Liam's safety. "What do you need?" I asked through gritted teeth. I need money, she said, and I could practically hear the relief in her voice. Enough to pay them off and get them off my back for good. How much? I asked, already dreading the answer. 10 grand. I nearly dropped the phone. $10,000? Are you out of your mind? I know it's a lot, she said quickly. But if I don't pay them soon, they'll. Let me stop you right there, I said, my voice cutting through her excuses. I don't have 10 grand lying around, Amanda. And even if I did, I wouldn't hand it over to you. Jack, please. No, I said firmly. You got yourself into this mess. You figure out how to get out of it. She was silent for a long moment, and then she said something that sent a chill down my spine. If you don't help me, Jack, they'll come for you, too. You're his father. That makes you a target. The line went dead before I could respond. I stood there in the kitchen, my heart pounding. I'd known Amanda was a liar and a manipulator, but this? This was a new low. She'd not only endangered Liam but now she'd dragged me into her nightmare as well. I didn't know what to do, but one thing was clear, I had to protect Liam, no matter what. And if Amanda's mess came knocking on my door, I'd be ready. The following days were a blur of paranoia and sleepless nights. I couldn't shake Amanda's warning, couldn't stop wondering when the storm she'd brought into our lives would finally arrive. I'd always prided myself on being steady, calm under pressure, but now? Every sound outside made me jump. Every unknown car on the street felt like a threat. Meanwhile, Liam remained blissfully unaware. He spent his days drawing, building Lego towers, and telling me stories about dinosaurs that somehow became night-saving princesses. It broke my heart to see how innocent he was, how untouched by the chaos Amanda had unleashed. I swore to myself, over and over, that I'd keep it that way. But promises like that rarely survive reality. It happened late one evening. I was in the kitchen cleaning up after dinner while Liam watched cartoons in the living room. The sound of tires crunching on the gravel driveway made me freeze. It wasn't Amanda's car, I would have recognized the rattle of her ancient sedan anywhere. No, this was something heavier, a low growl of an engine that didn't belong. I moved to the window, peeking through the curtains. A sleek black SUV idled at the edge of my driveway, its windows tinted so dark I couldn't see inside. My stomach twisted into knots. It didn't feel right. Something about it screamed danger. Liam, I called, keeping my voice steady. Come here for a second, buddy. He appeared a moment later, clutching a stuffed dinosaur under one arm. What's up? Let's go hang out in my room for a bit, I said, ruffling his hair. It's quieter back there. But my show? Don't worry, I said, cutting him off. We'll record it and watch it later, okay? He pouted but followed me down the hall. Once we were in my bedroom, I locked the door and knelt in front of him. Stay here, okay? No matter what you hear, don't come out until I come back. His eyes widened, fear flickering across his face. Why? What's wrong? Nothing, I lied, forcing a smile. I just need to check something. Stay here, Liam. Promise me. I promise, he said, clutching his dinosaur tighter. I grabbed the baseball bat I kept under my bed, just in case, and headed back toward the front of the house. My heart was pounding, but I forced myself to stay calm. I wasn't going to let Amanda's mess scare me into submission. The knock came as I reached the front door, 3 sharp, deliberate raps. I glanced through the peephole and saw 2 men standing on the porch. Both were dressed in dark suits, their expressions unreadable. One of them had a neck tattoo that snaked up toward his jaw, an ugly reminder of the world Amanda had dragged us into. I opened the door just enough to step outside, blocking their view of the house. Can I help you? You Jack? The one with the tattoo asked, his voice low and gravelly. "Who's asking?" I replied, gripping the bat behind my back. The other man, shorter but stockier, smiled coldly. "We're just here to talk. No need for all the attitude." "I'm not in the mood for games," I said. "What do you want?" "Your ex owes us money," Tattoo said, cutting straight to the point. "A lot of it." "That's her problem," I said evenly. "Not mine." "See, that's where you're wrong," Stocky chimed in. "She's been very clear about one thing: your kid is the most important thing in her life. And that makes him leverage." My blood turned to ice. "You're not touching him." "Relax," Tattoo said, holding up his hands in mock innocence. "We're not monsters. We just want what we're owed. Pay up, and this all goes away." "And if I don't?" I asked, my grip on the bat tightening. The smile faded from Stocky's face. "If you don't, things get messy. For everyone." I took a step forward, forcing them to step back. "You listen to me," I said, my voice low and steady. "You so much as look at my son the wrong way, and I'll make sure you regret it. You understand?" Tattoo chuckled, as though I'd just told a joke. "You've got guts, I'll give you that. But guts don't pay debts." "I'm not giving you a damn dime," I said. "Amanda made this mess. You want your money? Go find her." "Oh, we will," Stocky said. "But until then, you might want to keep an eye on that kid of yours. Accidents happen, you know." Before I could respond, they turned and walked back to the SUV. The engine roared to life, and they disappeared into the night, leaving me standing there, shaking with rage and fear. When I went back to the bedroom, Liam was sitting on the bed, his knees pulled to his chest. "Is everything okay?" he asked quietly. I sat down beside him, pulling him into a hug. "Everything's fine, buddy," I said, though the words felt hollow. "I promise." But as I held him, I knew the promise wasn't enough. Amanda's mess was here, right on my doorstep, and I had no choice but to fight back. For Liam. For the life he deserved. I just didn't know how far I'd have to go, or how much I'd have to lose, to protect him. The men's threat lingered in the air, poisoning everything. For the first time, I realized how deep Amanda's chaos truly ran. These weren't just empty words from low-level thugs, they meant business. And as I watched Liam sleep that night, his small chest rising and falling in peaceful oblivion, I made a decision. No one was going to touch my son. If Amanda's mess had brought these people into our lives, then I'd make sure they regretted it. But I needed a plan. I needed help. The first thing I did was call an old friend, Ryan, someone I hadn't spoken to in years but trusted more than anyone. He was an ex-cop, the kind of guy who didn't flinch when things got dirty. I explained the situation as best I could without sounding like a lunatic. "Jesus, Jack," he said after I finished. "You're in deep. Tell me something I don't know," I muttered, glancing at the window to make sure the street outside was still empty. "You need to protect yourself," he said firmly. "And not just physically. Paperwork. Evidence. If they show up again, you need to report it. Get it on record." "Yeah, because the cops are so great at handling this kind of thing," I replied, my voice laced with sarcasm. "Look," Ryan said, his tone serious. "You're a single dad now. You can't afford to take risks. Get a security system, a camera at the front door, whatever you can manage. And if they threaten you again, call me." I thanked him, but the conversation left a bitter taste in my mouth. I wasn't used to feeling helpless. And while I appreciated Ryan's advice, I knew waiting for the authorities to step in wasn't going to be enough. If these men came back, I needed to be ready. The next morning, I dropped Liam off at school, his first day at a new place. He was nervous, clutching my hand tighter than usual, but I did my best to reassure him. "You're going to make so many friends," I said, kneeling in front of him. "And I'll be right here to pick you up when the day's over." "Promise?" he asked, his big brown eyes searching mine. "Promise," I said, my heart breaking a little as he walked into the building. As soon as I was back in the car, I made a beeline for Amanda's motel. Enough was enough. If she thought she could dump her problems on me and disappear, she was about to get a wake-up call. When I arrived, her car was in the lot, but the blinds in her room were drawn. I banged on the door, my patience gone. "Open up, Amanda. I know you're in there." There was a pause, then the sound of locks clicking. The door creaked open, and Amanda peeked out, her face pale and drawn. "What are you doing here, Jack?" "We need to talk," I said, pushing past her into the room. It was a mess, clothes everywhere, empty takeout containers stacked on the dresser. The air smelled stale, like cigarettes and regret. "Nice place," I said sarcastically, turning to face her. "You've really outdone yourself." "What do you want?" she asked, crossing her arms defensively. "I want answers," I snapped. "The guys you owe money to? They came to my house. They threatened me. They threatened Liam." Her face went even paler. "They did what?" "Don't act surprised," I said, my voice sharp. "You knew this would happen. That's why you dumped him on me, isn't it? To keep him safe while you keep running from your problems." "I didn't know they'd go after you," she said, her voice trembling. "I swear, Jack. I thought they'd leave you alone." "Well, they didn't," I said, stepping closer. "So here's what's going to happen. You're going to fix this. You're going to pay them off, disappear, or whatever it takes to make this go away. Because if they come near Liam again, I'll make sure they regret it." Amanda's eyes filled with tears, but I wasn't moved. I'd seen her crocodile tears too many times before. "I don't have the money, Jack. I've tried everything. I'm trapped." "That's not my problem," I said coldly. "You made this mess. You clean it up." "I can't," she whispered, sinking onto the edge of the bed. "You don't understand how dangerous they are." "Oh, I understand perfectly," I said. "But you're not dragging me or Liam down with you." For a moment, she didn't say anything. Then she looked up at me, her eyes hard. "If you think you can protect him, you're delusional. They'll come after you, Jack. And when they do, you won't stand a chance." "We'll see about that," I said, turning to leave. "But don't call me again, Amanda. You've burned every bridge." As I walked out of the motel, a weight lifted off my chest. Amanda wasn't going to change. She never had, and she never would. But I couldn't let her toxic choices dictate Liam's future anymore. That night, I installed a security camera and reinforced the locks on the doors. I also sat Liam down and explained, as gently as I could, that some people might try to scare us but that I'd always keep him safe. He nodded, his little face serious, and hugged me tighter than ever. Amanda's storm might not be over, but for the first time, I felt ready to face it head-on. Liam was my priority now, my responsibility. And no one, no matter how dangerous, was going to take him from me.